Hello and welcome back to another Minecraft tutorial. I'm mostly Darklink, and today what I got for you guys is enderpearl teleporters. Now, I have two different designs here and I will go over both, and then I will teach you guys how to build this one behind me that looks a little bit more complicated than this one, and I'll explain why here in a bit. All right, so here we have two enderpearl teleporters. This one here I actually got from Pixel Rift, and I'll have his video in the description below. This one is fairly simple. All we're doing is we come here, we throw an enderpearl into the water like so. And what's going on is this here lets us program how many days we would like to go by before this trapdoor shuts and teleports us. Now, this is very useful for things like mining, exploring in the overworld, where you don't want to necessarily want to either remember your coordinates or even just travel back. This will automatically bring you back after a set amount of days. So right now we got this set to 3 days. And this crafter here is what is going to be counting our days using this daylight sensor. Now, in my redstone world here, time doesn't pass, but we can toggle this daylight sensor to simulate a day. So we got one item here, two. So, and what is happening is this dropper, which we have filled with 9 items, every time a day passes, it spits one up into this crafter. Now, if we hit 3, as you see, I got teleported. Oh, that's neat. Not really. So, ender mites are a thing you might have to deal with just because of ender pearls. So always be aware of that. Anyways, before being rudely interrupted. So what happened was after the 3 days went by, this trapdoor shut, hitting the ender pearl, which is what triggered us teleporting here. What is happening right now is this bubble column is keeping this ender pearl suspended. Now, with the new update to ender pearls, they keep the chunk that they're in loaded at all times. Actually, I didn't check, but if you hit F3 and G, you can see the borders of your chunk, and you just want to make sure you build your machine within a chunk. So you don't want like part of it in one chunk, part of it in another, or else it may not function correctly. Yeah, it's very simple. The main difference between these two is this one over here, which is my extra design here, doesn't have to be reset. So the downside of this one here is, as you can see, everything's still lit. So if we wanted to go and do it again, we had to come and manually remove everything. And since I had an ender pearl here, it just triggered again while I was taking things out. But we had to manually remove everything from this crafter, put it back in this dropper, and then we can set it again. This one over here is slightly different. It is a lot bigger, as you can see, but when, oops, helps if we throw the ender pearl correctly. But when we set this one, so I have this one right now set to the maximum amount of 9 days, and that is to make sure everything works correct, which is why this is so bulky. But if we come here to make sure, yep, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we teleported. And then all of this right here is going on to drain this crafter of the items. And then this right here is delayed to unlock this hopper. So that way all the items can flow from the hopper to this dropper here. Now this is going to continue to have a nice pretty light show until the next day passes. Well, the next night happens. And that is because with the daylight sensor on, it locks everything up. But once it's night, it unlocks it, allowing this dropper to shoot its items up into this one and start all over again. I will say the one thing you do need to reset on this one is if you're not going anywhere, turn everything off. Otherwise it'll just keep going in a cycle, and then when you want to use it, if say we had this on 9 days, we would have to come and check to see if this had emptied or not. But if we just have this set to nothing, then we don't have to worry about that. It'll just cycle itself. Yeah, that's it. If you want the more lazy way, well, this is more for people like me that forget. Because with this one here, which is way simpler and a lot more compact, I would forget to drain this and then come use it and then go on my adventure, and I would not get teleported back because I did not drain it. As for this one here, when I go to use the interface, if it's not empty, I know that I did not clear it and I can come and make sure everything's good. Whereas if it's empty, I know it's good to go right away and I can just use it. Enough rambling on about it. Let's show you guys how to make this. All right, so materials you will need 2 note blocks, a trapdoor, 2 crafters, an observer, 3 comparators, 3 building blocks. Now these specifically are building blocks we are going to power. If you want to be responsible with your redstone, I recommend having some kind of building block that you put all your redstone on, just to indicate that, hey, this is important in case you're squeezing it into some build so you know not to accidentally break it. But we definitely need 3 at minimum to power. And we're going to need 12 repeaters. We're going to need a redstone torch, a hopper. We need 2 droppers. I don't know why I only have 1 here, but we need 2 droppers and 12 pieces of redstone dust. We're also going to need a piece of soul sand, a piece of dirt, 6 kelp. This kelp is to make source blocks out of our water, and then 1 bucket of water. And then we're going to need 9 whatever blocks. I recommend having them the same block. They can be 9 different blocks if you want. It's just having them all the same makes it easier to keep track of and clean up if you need to. All right, so first things first, we're going to select wherever we want to have our enderpearl stasis, and we're going to dig down 7 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now on this last block here, we're going to put a piece of dirt, and then we're going to put water all the way up here at the top, and then we're going to come down to the bottom and kelp it up. Now what we've done is we've made all of this source block. Now we need to come all the way back down to the bottom, dig that out, and put in our soul sand, and you should just get shot right up to the top. Next, no block, and we're going to put our trapdoor right there. We can open it up like that. Then we're going to come to the back of the note block, and we're going to, place our observer. If I can place it correctly. There we go. So we want the face over here, or if you're looking at it from the top, we want the arrow pointing in to this note block. And we're going to place another note block there. And as you saw, trapdoor shut on us. Go ahead, open that back up. And then we're going to come here on the observer, I believe. Oops. Shift clicking, and we're going to have our first crafter right here. Next, we're going to need a comparator. Come out the back. I'm going to drop it right there. And then we're going to have another comparator facing this way. So we got this comparator going into this comparator. And now at the back of this comparator, we can put our other crafter, like so. And then if we come over here, we drop one of our building blocks. This is one of our essential ones, and we're going to put a piece of redstone dust on it, like so. If you just wanted to make pixel roofs over there, all you would need to do at this point is put a dropper down like so, and then slap the daylight sensor here, and you'd have pixel roofs version built. We are going to make ours a bit more complicated because we don't want to be manually emptying this. So we're going to put a dropper facing up like so, and then over here facing this way, we're going to make sure this dropper is facing into the crafter. And then we're going to have a hopper going into this dropper. So we should have hopper, dropper, this dropper going into this one, this dropper going into here. And next, we are going to set up our redstone to remove items from this dropper and send them up when they come out. So we're going to have a comparator like so. Redstone dust. We need a building block next to the dropper. Repeater is going to be going into said block. And then we have a repeater coming out of our comparator. And then redstone dust all the way around like so. Okay, now that that's done, the next thing we need to do is we need to build our redstone wiring to lock the hopper, which is underneath all of this here. So let's make sure this should be our hopper. Yep. So we need to power this block now, but we need to make sure there's enough delay in the system that if this is set to 9, the items have enough time to flow from the crafter through the hopper and back into this dropper. Now, in order to do that, we're going to dig out a nice little area here, like so. All right. And then we're going to put a piece of redstone dust down right underneath our redstone torch that I think I forgot to mention to put there. If you hadn't yet, put a redstone torch right there. And we're going to have a repeater, put it on 4 ticks. All repeaters we're putting down here will be on 4 ticks. And then we're going to have redstone dust, repeater, 4 ticks. And we're just going to have repeaters going all the way down to the edge of our little area here, like so. Redstone dust so we can bend it. Repeater. So we should have 10 of our repeaters here, All of them should be on 4 ticks. This one here should be pointing into this block to power it. And what that one is doing is that is locking our hopper here. Now, for the very last thing, we're going to come up and right off this dropper, right next to that comparator, we're going to put our daylight sensor. Now, just test it to make sure that it works. Let's click on, let's say 2 days, and flick our daylight sensor. So 1. Oh, this is why we test. We forgot to put the items in. So we're going to take our 9 items, put them in this top dropper. Now that we have our 9 items in, we can now test. 1, 2. Then that should be going. And our items, yep, they should be down there. And then when it goes to night, things should come up. Yep, we are good now. So now if you wanted to, you could throw an enderpearl down here, have this set to however many days, wander off, and you will automatically be teleported back. I'm Mostly Darklink. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like it, please hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, see you.